Hi there everyone, welcome back. I'm here with my really cute friend Bastian today, and he is going to help me show you how you can do your lateral work on the ground with your horse before you try doing it under saddle. So we're going to cover our shoulder in today, haunches in, half pass, and at the end I'm going to challenge you to use all of the skills that you've learned in this lesson to attempt doing a turn on the haunches from the ground. Okay, so we do have a lot to cover today, so we'll get started right away. So don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and let's get going. I am going to bring Bastian over to the wall over here, and we are going to start off with our shoulder in. Okay, so our shoulder in technically is the very first step of a 10-meter circle. So what I'm going to do when I come over here to the letter B is I am going to turn Bastian around a 10-meter circle so you can get a good idea of the size. And what I want to do is see if I can influence him to bend his body and take the shape of a 10-meter circle, which is about just half of the ring. So you're going to go from the rail to the center line and get your horse to bend and be nice and soft. And once I get back over to where my circle began, I'm going to just put Bastian one step on to that 10-meter circle so you can see. All right, so he's not perfect, but what you want to think of is your shoulder in is this first step, and then you're going to take that position down the rest of the track. So I'm just going to turn him. I'm going to put his shoulders a little to the inside track, and I'm going to push that inside hind leg down the track so he's a little bit on an angle. So the important thing to remember about your shoulder in is that it is the bend of a 10-meter circle, so your horse should be bending the direction of travel, and that you want your horse's feet to be on 3 tracks, okay? So as I'm doing the shoulder in now, I want you to notice where Bastian's feet are. I'm going to turn his shoulders to the inside track, or some people might call the second track. He's picking his hind leg up, but notice that his left front foot is on the inside track. His right hind and his right front are on the same track. So I'll try to stop him here so you can see that angle. You should have a straight line from that back foot, the inside hind to the outside front. And then the third track is his outside hind. So I'm going to keep going so you can see that again as we travel down the wall. That Bastian is a little bit bending to the inside, and that I'm keeping his hind leg on the track with my whip. So if you were riding, you would keep your inside leg by the girth, and it would be your inside leg coming and going in rhythm with that inside hind leg to keep it on the track, to keep the horse from actually turning onto that 10-meter circle. Okay, so we're going to do it again. I'm going to get him moving a little bit. My hand's going to guide him off the track a little, the shoulders, and my whip is going to keep time with his inside hind leg as it comes off the ground. I'm going to push it under, 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 under. Okay, another really great opportunity for you to practice your timing and to really understand where your horse's legs are underneath you. So I'm going to turn Bastian around and we're going to try that the other way. Come on. So you notice that the rope halter I'm using today has a little bit of a short rope. Makes it a little bit easier, less for me to deal with in my hand. So again, I'm going to put his body as if he's just about to start a 10-meter circle, but my whip is going to tell his hind leg to stay on the track so he doesn't actually turn off the track, just the shoulders. And again, notice where his feet are, that he's got the 3 tracks. So now his right front is to the second track or the inside track. Left front and right hind leg are lined up on the same track. And then that outside hind is the 3rd track. Okay, so that's your shoulder in. It should be fairly easy for you to get your horse to do that. If you've been practicing all of the other groundwork exercises we've been doing, your horse knows now to move away from your whip when your whip is nice and low, and then to follow your rope. Okay? So the important things are, again, to remember, shoulder in is the very first step of a 10-meter circle. Your horse should be bending on the line of a 10-meter circle, and you want to get those 3 tracks, okay? So the next thing is a little bit harder to work on with your horse is your haunches in, okay? So this is something that you're definitely going to have wanted to practice the other groundwork classes where we addressed drawing the haunches and doing your leg yield by drawing, okay? So we're going to need that drawing skill, that asking him to bring his haunches towards us in order to teach this. So hopefully you've watched those lessons and you've practiced those exercises. If not, after you finish watching this, you're going to have to go back and revisit trick training and leg yielding exercises, and then you can come back to teaching your horse your haunches in. All right, so again, I'm just going to bring, Bastion wants a rest, so I'm going to bring him over to the wall, and we're going to show you how to start to teach your haunches in, or the technical term for haunches in is called your travers. Okay, and the haunches in is the very last step of your 10-meter circle. So again, you want to get your horse sort of bending and relaxing around a 10-meter circle, and we're just going to position Bastion so that his head, neck, and shoulders are headed straight down the track, and his haunches are to the inside as if he's just finishing a 10-meter circle. And then what you would do, you can get your horse to stand in this position so that they're okay with that. And what I like to do is I take my hand and put it on the outside of my horse's head, because when you start teaching this, they're going to get a little bit confused, and they're going to think you're asking them for that leg yield that we've practiced. And now you've got to teach them that they can put their body in a different position. So again, this is the last step of a 10-meter circle, so the horse should be bending, again, the direction of travel for this exercise, as opposed to our leg yield where the horses are flexed the opposite direction of travel. So when we ask the horse for leg yield, we'll do that first so we can, his head will go away. So the head goes towards the wall, and you notice that the shoulder comes in as well as the haunches. For a haunches in, I'm going to take my hand again to the outside of my horse's head and position his head and his nose, his neck and his shoulders. So the front half of him, from the shoulder up, is all pointed straight down the track. And I just want his hips to come in a little bit so that he gives right here in through his rib cage. So I'm going to just do it from the standstill and get Bastion just to try there to bring just the haunches in without moving that shoulder in. Your horse at first, when you first practice this, is going to try to bring their head to the outside and move the shoulders to the inside. So what you're going to have to do is be a little bit coordinated and ask your horse to swing the hip in at the same time. You can press on their neck from that very first trick we taught our horse to relax, push that relax button so their neck comes down, and you're going to keep trying to position their head and shoulders straight ahead. So a lot of times what I'll do is kind of relax the neck, maybe push the shoulder over, and just manipulate their body enough so that you can physically explain to them how you want their body to be. Because at first the horses are a little bit, not only confused, but I think feel like their body doesn't work that way, that they don't have that ability to give in through their rib cage. But in fact they do, and once you really get through to them what you want from them, they actually like this exercise better than the shoulder in once they really get the hang of it. So you can see this is Bastion's haunches in. I'm going to bring it over around and back again so you can see it again. So once you've convinced your horse that they can position their body like that, then you can start trying to move it down the wall. So I'm coming around. Let's say I just did my 10-meter circle. This is the last step of the 10-meter circle. He's positioned straight down the track, the front half of him straight down the track, and I'm just asking his haunches to stay in by giving him that little tap on the croup. I'm holding him on the outside of his head so I can keep his head positioned towards me and that he's bending the direction of travel. And then you have to ask them to do that the other direction, which generally, like everything else, is a little bit harder for them. It might take a little bit more time for you to convince them that their body can do it this way. So again, I'm just going to put my hand on the outside of Bastion's halter so that his head, neck, and shoulders stay positioned to the back wall, and then asking him to bring his croup in, his hips swing to the inside. Good. So I get, again, that 3 tracks, same 3 tracks we had at the shoulder in. We want 3 tracks this way as well. So try to stop him. One more step, buddy, so that we can see that. So now for the haunches in, it's his shoulders stay on the track. So his left front would be on the track. His left hind and right front are on the same track. They should be lined up. And then the inside hind leg is the 3rd track. So let's see if we can get Bastion doing that again so you can see the angle that you need. So it's not too much angle, just the 3 tracks. And Bastion's skipping ahead, kind of coming away from the wall to show you a little half pass, but this is your haunches in. Okay, so shoulder in is your very first step of your 10-meter circle. Haunches in is your very last step of your 10-meter circle, and you're just bringing those positions down the wall so that you're using your whip aid, your driving aids, to keep them from actually turning the circle or finishing the circle. Okay, so Bastion likes to have his neck down, relax brakes, but we're going to go ahead and show you now how to turn your haunches in into your half pass. Okay, so technically your half pass, all it really is your haunches in on a diagonal line. Okay, so hopefully you have practiced your leg yields and convinced your horse that they can move sideways away from the wall and into the wall, because that skill will be handy today when you're trying your half pass. All right, so I will again bring Bastion over to the wall so I can show you how you can get that started. While I'm doing groundwork, I like to start this from the wall and move away from the wall. When we ride, we'll actually try it first away from the wall and going towards the wall, but because we like to use the wall in our groundwork to help us get the right answers from the horse, we're going to start here. So as I mentioned before, the half pass is your haunches in, but on a diagonal line. So what I want to do is I'm going to imagine that there is a diagonal line drawn from the rail towards the center line. So I'm going to put Bastion, so his shoulders, his neck, and his head are all pointed straight on that imaginary diagonal line, okay? And then again, I'm going to just stand in front of him with my hand on the outside. I'm going to get him moving along that diagonal line, and then I'm going to ask his haunches to come over to me. And we're just going to keep traveling sideways along that diagonal line. And notice that Bastian, again, is bending the direction of travel, which is different than your leg yield, which is your flexion, opposite direction of travel. So now your half pass is also should have the bend of a 10-meter circle, and that the bend is in the direction that you're traveling. So if you're half passing left, your horse should be bending left. And as you notice, as we came across from the wall to the center line, his shoulders did lead, but his hind legs kept up. I'm going to do that one more time for you from the wall. And like I mentioned in the last groundwork lesson that we had, if I need a little bit more action from the hind legs, I'm just going to give Bastian a little tap on the croup with my whip. So he brings that outside hind leg up and under him. I get a little bit more expression, okay? So I'm going to position Bastian onto the diagonal line, hold his head and neck and shoulders straight on that diagonal line. I'm going to get him moving. I'm going to give a little pull, and his shoulders are leading. If I want his right hind leg to cross under a little bit more, give me a little bit more of a dynamic half pass, I'm going to tap him. Now, if your horse starts to move his shoulder in, again, you can kind of manipulate, press that relax button, push the shoulder a little bit back over, and then get your half pass going again. Come on over here. Good. Good opportunity for you to practice your timing with your whip. So in that particular case, I needed to keep an eye on his right hind leg so that when it was coming off the ground, I could give him a little tap on the croup so that I actually took that right hind leg and crossed over. So now I'm going to try it from the other side. Come on, Bastian. He's very enthusiastically showing you these movements today. Okay, so we're going to position him over here. My right hand is on the left side of his head. I'm going to turn his shoulders towards the center line and then ask that left hind leg come over. Now. So see, in this position, I a little bit have to use my hand to manipulate his bend. Make sure his flexion is the direction of travel. And we got to get moving a little bit forward. Okay, so you'll practice that on both sides. If you want to practice going from the center line to the wall and you're having a little bit of trouble, you can see I set up some poles over here that can kind of help you visually get that positioning correct. Okay, so if you wanted to practice doing your half pass from the center line towards the wall, you could set up a couple of poles like I have if you need a little help visually for yourself. And you just do a nice half 10-meter circle towards your center line. Once you get to the center line, you're going to position their shoulders a little bit off the center line and point them diagonally to the wall and then bring them over. So you see again, Bastian's shoulders are leading, but I'm getting his right hind leg to keep up and really reach over towards his left front. And I'm going to make it all the way to the track and then stop. Okay, so this is a little exercise that visually helps people, especially under saddle, when you're trying to learn your half pass. If you set up a pole like that, it's a little bit helpful just to have that visual of where that diagonal line is. So we're just going to try it one more time this way so you can see. Come on, we got to get Bastian moving along here. So I would start over here from the track. Like if I were riding, I would do a nice half 10-meter circle towards my center line. And if I wanted to half pass, I'd get to that center line, do one little step over to a diagonal, and then ask Bastian to get that left hind leg to keep up with his right shoulder. So right shoulder's leading, left hind leg's catching up. And and I make sure he finishes the half pass straight on the track. Good. Okay, buddy, come on. That's all very tiring. So this is all actually mentally exhausting for the horses. So even though he's physically not working super, super hard, it takes a lot of coordination for him and for you to practice these lateral movements on the ground. So hopefully your coordination has improved since you started practicing your groundwork, and you can get that done. I am going to show you your challenge for today, which is going to be to do your turn on the haunches using your drawing aids and the fact that we just did a nice half pass. So kind of what you want to think about for your turn on the haunches is that it's almost like a half pass in place while you're turning, okay? So I'm going to try to, I suppose I'll start off at the wall, and then I'll come a little bit closer to the camera, so hopefully you can get a good view of how I'm going to do this. This will also be something that will test your timing and your coordination so that you can help your horse succeed and get this right. So if I wanted to do a turn on the haunches with Bastion, I would think about one tiny little step of shoulder in, get his shoulders moving towards me, and then use my whip to keep his haunches with me. Okay? There, and then so I'm going to bring this over here so you can see, hopefully you can see a little bit better about how I use my whip and the timing of my whip to keep those hind legs coming around the turn. So technically what you saw was that Bastion's shoulders turned around his haunches. That's why they call it a turn on the haunches. Okay, so what you want to look for in a turn on the haunches is that the two back feet keep marching in time with the walk, that we don't get one foot stuck or a foot stepping out. There should be no pivot for a dressage turn on the haunches. If you're doing a pirouette in Western dressage, I believe that inside front does stay on the ground, but for dressage, turn on the haunches, or even pirouette, the back feet keep moving, okay? So I'm going to use my whip in time with his feet when I want I'm going to do it to the left again, so when I want his right hind leg to step under, I'm going to tap on the croup. And when I want this leg to step, I'm going to just tap him on the side. All right, so I'm going to try that from here. I'm going to move him, get his feet moving a little bit, turn the shoulders. I'm going to tap that leg, right hind leg, left hind leg, right hind leg, left hind leg. Whoops, see how he stepped out? That's a common problem. So you want to try to keep the shoulders slow enough that you can keep that hind leg stepping in the direction that you're turning. So the outside hind leg has to stay stepping the direction that you're turning. It shouldn't step out. So he did a full turn on the haunches there. All right, that is a very common problem when practicing a turn on the haunches. Sometimes that hind leg, that outside hind leg will step out, or sometimes this hind leg will pivot, all right? So I'm going to try the other way and see if we can get that done the other way. One more thing, buddy. Back up. All right, so I'm going to position his shoulders a little towards me. And for this, yeah, and then we'll get him turning this way. So left hind leg, right hind leg. Left hind leg, right. Left, right. Left, right. Left, right. Oh, right. See how that leg stuck? So that's a little mistake, all right? So you do want to just practice keeping those legs marching and in time with the walk. But no stickiness. Whoop. Good. I caught that on time. He was about to step out. So one sure sign that your horse is about to step out is if you feel them get heavy in their shoulders, sort of lean in their shoulders and take the weight off their back feet. Then those back feet kind of get a little out of hand. Okay? So I know this is, with him, he's a really good boy about all of these things, and he can perform them well. I know he didn't seem very enthusiastic about it, but he's well practiced at them. And these are definitely things you're going to want to take one step at a time. Try your shoulder in first, get really good at that. Then teach your horse just to position their body into the haunches in position. And when they feel comfortable with that, you can start moving it down the wall. And then you can try your half pass. And just take your time and be patient with yourself and with your horse, of course. If you are having trouble with any of these movements, please feel free to contact me. This little guy, if you're local and want to come and take a lesson with him, he is available for that. So you can learn how to do it yourself with the horse that's experienced and then go home and teach your horse. That is an option for you too. So hopefully today's lesson was helpful to you. If so, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to share it with a friend. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And the notes for this lesson will be on my website, whitesprucefarms.com. Have fun practicing, and we'll see you at the next riding lesson.